and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be closing out my first February paycheck budget. So I got paid on the 9th of February and that money lasted me 2 weeks as I get paid fortnightly or bi-weekly. So in this paycheck I did get my regular income. So from my full-time employer that is $2,751.82, as well as my salary packaging of $346.53. Extra income, so I'd never ever budget anything for this. However, I had made kind of a step that I wanted to try and earn some extra income this pay period, and I had put a goal of $100. Now I didn't achieve that goal, but I did make some extra income. So I actually brought in $70 of extra income, which I am still incredibly happy with because it's something extra. $40 of that came from credit card rewards, and $30 came from online surveys through Octopus group surveys. See, that was good to have some extra money. Savings used, I did pull the $300 from my sinking funds to pay my council rates, which you'll see down below. And then other, I actually also had something come in from other this pay period as well. So I had actually been chasing up a refund through Etsy. So at the end of last year I had purchased, not the end of last year, I think it was in October, I had purchased like a book embosser, or I think that's how you pronounce it, where basically you can stamp your book page with a cute little design. Something very unnecessary, but last year me thought it was cute and just put money on it without even thinking. That purchase never actually arrived. And to be honest, in the past I probably just would have let it go. I wouldn't have even followed up because I just didn't care about money. But this is something I've been following up for the last month and a half now because it has not arrived. The seller originally just sent me a tracking link which went nowhere and then stopped replying to me. So I did have to put in a complaint with PayPal, and I did actually get a refund back. So I got a refund back of $91.40. Which, now that I'm on this budgeting journey, I think it's absolutely crazy that I was willing to pay $91 for a book embosser. But that was past me. You, me, will not do that again. So that means for my total income, I had budgeted to spend $3,398.35. But I actually brought in some extra, so I brought in $3,559.75. which was $161.40 more than I was expecting to bring in, which is always a good thing. Moving down to my bills, they were pretty typical. So my mortgage was $700, my health insurance was the same as always, internet was the same as expected, Spotify and content insurance were all typical. My council rates were a little bit lower than anticipated, so I had saved $300, but they only ended up being $285. So that was $15 less than expected, which means for my total bills, I had planned to spend $1,244.69, but only ended up spending $1,229.69, so $15 less than expected. Moving down to variable expenses, my petrol, I'm still budgeting $150 a fortnight to let me fill up twice. Petrol's so expensive, so I ended up putting in $144.51. My tolls did come out once this fortnight, so that was $100.20. Food and groceries. This is an area I know I'm still struggling with. It is a lot cheaper than I was spending last year, which is once again insane to think about. But yeah, I think $4.50 is still too much, and I still do want to get this lower. I think my issue with it is that I still am eating out probably more than I would like, probably twice a week or 3 times a fortnight even. So 3 to 4 times a fortnight, which is too much, particularly with how expensive even fast food is. So I did actually go a tiny bit over this pay period, so instead of the $4.50, I did spend $452.71, so $2.71 more than anticipated, but I actually do want to get that like under $400 at some point. So that is an area I will continue to work on. Now household, I spent $32.98, so that was less than expected. I had just bought, I think, some paper towels, and some new like tea towels as well, so nothing too exciting. health, I did spend $32.29 this pay period, and that was just for 2 prescriptions that I get on a monthly basis. Personal, I spent $29.99, and what I had purchased was a lanyard and like a badge reel for work. So actually my manager bought us these new cute name badges. So I've got like now a cute little butterfly name badge, which made me kind of then want to get like a cute lanyard to go with it. So I did splurge a little bit on that, but I was still under what I had budgeted, so I'm okay with it. Miscellaneous, nothing, which was great. So that means in total for my variable expenses, I had planned to spend $901, but I only ended up spending $792.68, which I was happy with because that is $108.32 less than anticipated. And I was very happy with that, considering if you watch my paycheck closeout from last time, I had gone over in kind of variable and particularly in that personal category. So yeah, this was a much better paycheck with those things. Moving down to sinking funds, I thought I would just address the fact that I do have a lot of sinking funds here, and I'm very aware of that. But just to kind of let everyone know, I'm actually not contributing to all of these at the moment. So I'm just really contributing to the ones that have a deadline, like have a set date coming up where they need to be due by. And then as well as some rolling over sinking funds, which I'll talk about. So I've just kind of left lots of zeros in here because those ones have nothing in it, and I've just kind of blacked out the ones where there has been changes this paycheck, so we can go over them. So the first one that did have a change was my council rates. So for my council rates, this fund originally had $300 in it. I didn't plan to put anything in it. But I did take out $300, which means that now is back down to $0. Next was my car registration, which is the thing I'm heavily saving for right now, as that is due on the 1st of March. So this fund started with $300 in it, and I actually budgeted $600 to put in. I did put in $600, didn't take anything out, so that now has $900. My car registration is usually around $1,200, so that means I'm probably going to have to cash flow $300 in my next paycheck, which will hopefully be okay. The next area that had a change was my unit maintenance and household. So my plan with unit maintenance, household, health, medical and personal is that these 3 sinking funds are actually also up here in my variable spending. So what my plan has been is I will budget $50 for these each paycheck, but whatever is left over, hopefully if I'm underspending, then I will be able to put them into sinking funds, so that way hopefully these can start to build up. And it hasn't worked out so far because I've always been very heavily over in one category, so I've used the other categories to cover for them. But this paycheck was the first one where each of these sinking funds was actually under budget, so I was able to start that kind of rollover effect. So for my unit maintenance household, I started with $0. Didn't plan to put anything in it, but I did end up putting in $17.02 because that's what was left over, and that means I'm now ending with $17.02 in that kind of fund, which is good to start building that up. Next was my health and medical, so once again started with $0, didn't plan to put anything in, but I did have $17.71 left over, so that is what that fund is ending with. And then lastly, my personal, so didn't plan to put anything in. Started at $0, but I did end up with $20.01 left over, and now that is in that. And now I run in total for my sinking funds. So at the beginning of this paycheck, I had $600 in sinking funds. I'd planned to put a further $600 in, but actually ended up putting $654.74, which was $54.74 more than expected. I did take out $300. So that means now in the sinking funds account I have $954.74. So that's still in the positive, which is good to see. Moving down to debt, which remains my big focus at the moment. So business debt, which as always is the debt I'm targeting, I had budgeted to put in $438.76. However, I had a really good paycheck with that extra income, the refund, and also saving a bit of money in my miscellaneous and petrol funds, so I actually was able to put in $667.74, which I was very, very happy with. My 3 credit cards were not due, so I did put in nothing into any of those. My personal loan came out as always at $213.90 and nothing for my family loan. My savings I once again didn't put anything towards. However, that is going to be changing from March. So I have been thinking about really starting to put some money into a starter emergency fund, just to kind of feel, I guess more safe, more stable, because at the moment I don't really have any buffer besides $100 in my account cushion. And I had actually asked in one of my videos for advice on that, and pretty much the universal, agreed advice was to start an emergency fund, whether it's, just starting something, whether it's throwing all my money at that or splitting my money between this and debt. But in some way, I'm definitely going to start that fund in March. So that will be changing. The last area of my budget, actually, this paycheck, which I don't usually contribute anything to, is investments. So I don't usually contribute to investments because I am just wanting to pay off that really high interest debt. However, something that happened in these past 2 weeks is that on one of the apps I use, called the K-Safe Driving app, which basically gives you points to drive safely. You get more points if you don't speed, don't use your phone while driving, etc. They had a deal on where if you just use 20 of your points, you could get up to $100 in free shares with this online brokerage, Tiger Brokers. So I decided to do that. I mean, they weren't 100% free. You had to put in $1, so that's what I did. So I did pay $1. But then you get the free shares. I'm not actually planning to keep doing that once they have all been placed into my account. So at the moment you do get 6 free shares. At the moment 4 of them have cleared into my account, but the other 2 have not. So I'm waiting for all 6 of them to clear into my brokerage account, and then I'm just planning to sell them and put that money towards debt on my emergency fund, one or the other. But so from that $1, currently the 4 shares I have totaled $72. So I'm hoping this works out good. I'm hoping there's no surprise fees or anything. But that would be great to have $72 or more than that when I get the other 2 shares as free money. So hopefully that works out. In terms of my paycheck totals, so I had planned to budget $3,390.35, but instead, because of extra income, we did have a full zero-based budget with $3,559.75. And just looking at kind of our pie charts, so this is what I had planned to spend, and this is what I actually ended up spending. The main things that really jump out at me is this debt. So I had only planned to put 19% towards debt, but I ended up putting 25%, which I am very, very happy with. And variable, I had planned to put 26%, and I only ended up putting 22%. So lower variable and higher debt, which is very good. I think this was a really good paycheck for me. So I'm hoping I